Even though it has been just over 2 years since the release of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, many fans, including us, are still spending our days thinking about what the next Zelda game could be like, what it could be about, and most importantly, where could it take place? The obvious answer to the last question would be Hyrule, but bear with me, girls and guys, what if the next Zelda game actually didn't take place in Hyrule? Okay, it isn't that radical of an idea, since it has indeed happened before in other titles, but while Hyrule may be the centerpiece for all things Zelda, every upcoming game in the series has an equal amount of chances to not be included in the legendary kingdom. With that in mind, we have a gut feeling that this next Zelda game may actually be set outside of Hyrule. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty and explain why we think that way. Now you're probably thinking, hold on Commonwealth Realm, why on earth are you talking about the next Zelda game already? Don't you know that we have to wait 5 to 6 years for every mainline entry? The next one has to be at least 3 years off. And to that, my good skeptic, I have to say that you could be right, but there are a couple of different factors at play here. For one, the reason why Breath of the Wild took so long to develop was because the team at Nintendo EPD had to construct a brand new game engine from the ground up. No doubt making this the company's most expensive project in their over 35-year-long history of developing games. Now that the game has been released to critical and commercial acclaim, why would you throw that engine away? It has been confirmed that the next Zelda game is already in development, along with the news that water is wet, and because that announcement came less than 1 year in the Switch's life, it's safe to say that the next Zelda game will also make its way to the Nintendo Switch. Sorry Wii U. We're no experts on game development, but theoretically, wouldn't you think that using the same engine from Breath of the Wild would significantly cut down on development costs and time? We would think so, especially considering it's been done before with Nintendo games like Majora's Mask and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Matter of fact, we made an entire video, or two, on when we might see the next mainline Zelda, so you should definitely check that out when we're done here. So what does this all have to do with the next game taking place in Hyrule or not? Well, what we can infer from the Nintendo games that have reused assets from their previous titles is that they eventually became direct sequels. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is kind of odd though, because it retold the story of Galaxy 1, but with different characters. Yeah, it was weird. But Majora's Mask was definitely a sequel to Ocarina of Time, having you play as the same young Link, but in the land of Termina instead of Hyrule. However, this was not the first, nor would it be the last time we play as the same Link across multiple Zelda games. The first time was of course with Zelda 1 and 2, duh, and then with the Hero of Legend from A Link to the Past, then Link's Awakening, then Oracle of Ages and Seasons. After that, the Hero of Winds in the Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, and finally, the hero in A Link Between Worlds, and then Triforce Heroes. I don't know how that last one makes sense, but it's true. Anyway, not all these games were asset reusing sequels, but they're all consistent in that whenever there is a direct sequel in the Zelda franchise, the hero does not stay in Hyrule, with the exception of Zelda 1 and 2. Assuming the Zelda team wants to maintain this level of consistency, then the next game, assuming it does reuse the assets from Breath of the Wild, will no doubt be a sequel to said game. This makes sense for a number of reasons. The big one being that Link, in this case the Hero of the Wild, seems to be too important to only appear once. At the end of his journey in Breath of the Wild, it looks like he and Zelda's work is far from over, because rebuilding Hyrule up to its former glory is a daunting task, especially after 100 years of Calamity Ganon's malice. They could take the setting of this game in one of two directions. The first one taking place in the same exact Hyrule from Breath of the Wild, only not the same exact Hyrule from Breath of the Wild. Perhaps set a few years later, when the land is at least close to being fully rebuilt, with new architecture, more people, and for the love of Hylia, a bustling castle town market. God, talk about Breath of the Wild's missed opportunities. Bitterness aside, this could work, and make Hyrule feel different even though the geography is still the same. But right now, you're probably thinking maybe you don't want that. Because even if the land changed with the addition of more architecture and people, you, the player, have already explored Hyrule from head to toe in Breath of the Wild. You want something brand spanking new. And you know what? We agree with you. Which is why the second option the Zelda team has, and it is the most favorable option, is to leave Hyrule, for whatever reason the story provides. Hyrule, we love you. You've given us over 100 hours worth of exploration. But as it is, most of us know what you look like from the inside and out. I'm sorry, baby girl, but it's time to move on to greener pastures. Not necessarily greener, but whatever the location of the new place is going to be like. Just like every other hero, Link is young. We just met him in Breath of the Wild, and there is no way his story ends at Calamity Ganon's demise. Wherever he, and maybe Zelda, go next, that'll be completely determined by the imagination of Eiji Aonuma and his team at Nintendo EPD. Nonetheless, this piece of art by Tyler Edlin keeps our imagination running wild at the possibilities. Plus, it would make for a better story than the one we got in Breath of the Wild. Matter of fact, maybe the sequel will be set on a remote island, a big one nonetheless, but Nintendo might be hinting at it with one of their big 2019 releases. Of course, we're referring to the remake of The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. In that game, the hero of Legend's ship gets destroyed and he washes up on Koholint Island, where the entirety of the game takes place. Call it a long shot, but maybe the reason why we're getting a remake of this game on Nintendo Switch is because Nintendo is hinting at what Zelda holds for the future. Breath of the Wild introduced a ton of people to the Zelda franchise, so they might think that the next game not taking place in Hyrule is kind of ridiculous. But games like Link's Awakening have proven that a Zelda game can still be great while taking place outside of the kingdom. As we've said earlier, it would be wise for Nintendo and the Zelda development team to reuse assets from Breath of the Wild to ensure a quicker development cycle, and maybe even include some scrapped ideas that they couldn't use in the last game. This could mean we'll see the next game as soon as 2020 or 2021 at the latest. We've made quite a few videos in the past about what the next Zelda game should include, but what we will say for now is that we wish for a new location, whether that means telling a different story with a different Link in a different Hyrule, or the same Link in a brand new setting outside of Hyrule. The hero of the wild is a very important figurehead in the Zelda universe, and we believe he deserves at least one more game before the next. Anyway, those are our thoughts on where the next Zelda game should take place. What do you think? Do you want the next game to take place outside of Hyrule? Why or why not? Let us know in the comments section down below.
Guys and girls, if you're watching this after we have surpassed 200,000 subscribers, then I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here ever since the beginning, which, as you may know, was talking about the next Zelda game. Back then it was Zelda Wii U. Now we are looking for the next Zelda game, first exclusive one for the Nintendo Switch. And on this road we are looking for a brand new editor. Not just any type of editor, but an editor that can take responsibility for most of the videos on the channel. Yes, we are looking for a full-time editor for the Commonwealth realm. One that has substantial experience in Adobe Premiere Pro and some experience with Adobe After Effects. Someone that can bring the channel to new heights. Someone who can make the Commonwealth realm even better. I want this 200,000 subscriber milestone to be a new beginning for the channel. a step towards greatness. Greatness that I know we can all go through together. Some of it you will see in a very short span of time. Some will take a little bit longer. That's why I ask all of you to join me on this journey for an even better realm.
In the meantime, click that thumbs up button if you like this video, and if you are new, subscribe and press that shiny notification bell to know when we upload another video on The Legend of Zelda and other video game franchises on the Nintendo Switch. We would also like to thank our glorious Patreon supporters, including royal producers Kenyatta Ali and Bradley Carriage for all their contributions to the realm. Be sure to visit patreon.com/commonrealm to find out how you can join the ranks in exchange for some awesome perks. That's all for now, girls and guys, so we will see you next time on the Commonwealth.